everybody, I just wanted to jump on really quick and give you the annual Utah Housing Forecast Breakfast recap. So I will be referring to my notes, but it was a great breakfast this morning at the Grand America and a lot of great information was shared. I will also have a lot of slideshows from that presentation included shortly after this in my story, so make sure to check those out. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. So Jim Wood from the University of Utah was the first speaker, and he speaks every year, and he is so smart and has a lot of great insight. So he said a recession in the state of Utah is not likely. So there were two areas that they talked about that kind of have a different market than the other areas, and that's Boise, Idaho, and so Utah and Idaho, basically. So they're not expecting a recession to hit our communities. Although, as the nation is concerned, there is a possibility that there might be a bit of a recession, specifically in the housing market, that may take place. So he kind of talked about the housing bubble and how there's not actually a housing bubble. So in 2008, there was 16 quarters of consecutive decline that came after that in the housing market. But for us, we've only had 2 quarters of decline, and they're expecting very soon for that to change. The forecast is that it's not going to be a long period recession. It's rare in Utah ever to have a recession in the housing market, so there's only been 2 times that they really documented that there was a housing market recession. That was in 2008 and in the 1980s. So they're not expecting that to happen. Inflation is trending down, and when that happens, the housing market tends to increase. So we're going to be able to be hopefully moving back up in the next near future. They're saying that interest rates can range anywhere from 5% to 9%. His guess was somewhere between 6.5 and 7.5 this year. I'll talk a little bit later about Lawrence Yune's expectation, which is a little bit different than what Jim has said. We are 2.1% on pricing up from last year at this time, which may be surprising to some people. They're thinking that the prices are greatly dropping, but month to month over last year, we are up 2.1%. The expectation is that this market is going to stabilize by the third quarter. So if you're expecting to get a house that's on the downslide price-wise, you probably want to grab it in the winter months when traditionally our market is a little bit lower priced during the winter. So if you're like, I want to get the best price that I possibly can, you're going to want to grab that within the first and the second quarter of this year. Expecting that the numbers are going to hold through 2023. In 2008, there was 80,000 jobs that were lost, and we are actually up right now on the unemployment rate. So there has not been any jobs lost right now, which is usually an indication of a housing bubble. So the biggest thing he said is the job market correlates with the house prices. So pretty big deal there. House prices have doubled in 5 years. Pretty big deal. So the term that he used for this year is stabilization. So sellers in 2023 are being patient because they have those low interest rates. They don't have places that they really want to go. And because of that, there is a seller's market still. There's not enough inventory. So the buyers are still trying to find homes to fit their needs. So expectation is that between 12 and 13,000 homes will be sold in this next year in the Salt Lake County. Lawrence Yune also spoke with us today. He said, own property. So find property, find land, find that dirt and buy it. That's going to be the smartest thing that you can do for your future investment. A couple of things he talked about is like the Midwest being maybe the best area to buy because it doesn't traditionally fall into the house inflation, deflation. It kind of stays a little bit more steady because it's not a huge market. So if you're looking for land, buy in the Midwest. I'd love to help you or help you find someone to help you. The most affordable regions are growing there in the Midwest. That might be the best place. Currently, our real estate market is matching that of 2000. And I don't remember in 2000 anyone feeling super stressed about our real estate market like people are talking about now. And so that was a really good example that he showed that we're really just there again. We're doing very well, and there's a lot of expectations that we will continue to be a very stable market. The median house price in 2000, get this, $140,000 in the state of Utah. Median house price. 2008, the median house price was $280,000. Does that surprise you? Because in 2022, our median house price was $580,000. And his point in showing that was that it's the long run in real estate. If you would have bought one of those homes in 2008, even at the high point, you still have more money than you did back then in your home. You have equity from 2008. There was 25% of gains in 2020. And so that's why people are questioning, is it a housing bubble? Because it moved up so quickly. And his big thoughts on that were no, because there was so much cash in the market. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. He also talked about making sure you price your homes accurately. So if you're looking to sell, if you have an accurate price, it's still going to move. It's still going to sell. So here's some key points from 2008 when everybody talked about the housing crash to now. So in 2008, there was 80 million jobs lost in the state of Utah. Right now, we actually have more jobs than we've ever had. Payroll, there was 138 million people in the state of Utah in 2008 that were on a W-2 payroll. Currently, we're at 158 million. Again, not an economy that's showing a crash. Payroll, so there's 4 million homes that were in inventory for sale in 2008. Now we're at 1.2 million. Mortgage delinquency in 2008, 10.1%. That's a mortgage that is late for more than 90 days, currently only at 3.6%. Home ownership, we just have so many people who own their homes. So the home ownership, the asset of that, the amount that the home is worth, and the number of mortgage rates, so that the homes and the number of people who have owned homes and how much that asset is, it's continuing to rise. And I'm going to post this on another one, where the amount of mortgages that people have is very flat, which shows you how much cash is in our market, because there's so much more asset in our homes than the number of people who owe money on mortgages, which is why we don't expect short sales and foreclosures to hit the market. Prior to our 2020 COVID pandemic that increased homes, we actually already had a housing shortage. So he's talking about there's still a housing shortage. It started then. We're still trying to catch up, which is why prices are staying where they're at. The biggest thing he said, again, is buy land. The biggest area impacted by this new downturn has been apartments. Days on market is currently about 28 days. The homes sold is down 34% from last year. So the number of homes that we have selling is down, but our prices are still up 2.2%. And the reason why they're saying that is because it's actually inventory. It's the number of homes sold. The active listings now is up 43% from last year, but the new listings is down 17%. So basically we're having a point where people are trying to price their homes too high, and they're sitting on the market a little bit longer, and they're ending up losing money, where if they would just come in priced appropriately for our market. So one of the things he said that made me laugh, and was my favorite quote that he said today, is that sellers are staying in their homes. They're not selling their homes because they even if their families are growing and they want to move out of their home, he said they love their 3% mortgage rate more than they love their baby. And it was kind of funny. So he was saying that they're willing to sacrifice their space and stay in a smaller space to keep that 3% mortgage rate, rather than to sell their house and to upgrade into a bigger home for their family. There is still a ton of cash in this market. So cash buyers, the higher end marketing, those homes are still moving quickly. Food prices, however, are up 10% over last year, which is obviously impacting our economy as a whole. So the rates may increase as far as the Fed rates, but because the mortgage rates increase quicker than those Fed rates, they're not expecting the mortgage rate to increase as much this year as it did last year. So ultimately, you guys, the biggest thing is Utah's a great place to buy. Idaho is a great place to buy. They're very resistant to the changes in the market as compared to other areas. So for example, San Francisco is down 15% on house prices from last year, where we're up 2%. So it's just really important to know that where you're buying matters, and Utah is a great place to buy. And the last thing he left us with is to remember that if you are a renter, the rental market is going to continue to increase. So he said if you're a 10-year renter, you're going to be in trouble in 10 years. Where if you buy a house right now and just hold on to it for 10 years, you're going to be in a much better place than you were before. So the whole thing I want to say is that buy now and hold on to it. The thing that all of the forecasts, both of them spoke about, is the important thing is to buy and own a home and hold on to it for the long run, and that's where you'll make your money.